All right, three, two, one, go. I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
We're complaining about work meetings.
Well, and that's the thing so they ask me, it's like, so when's a good time for you? I'm like, well, I'm in Mountain Time. It's like, yeah. It's like, so I'll generally work between the hours of 0 and 8. Any time in between there would be great.
Well, yeah. So if you're a normie and you wake up at 6:30 and get into work at 8, that's fine. You guys overlap then.
Well, and so that's the thing is they're like, of course, this is Pacific time that they're coming from, so it's an hour ahead from me. So they're like, what do you think about 11:30? I'm like, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's when I sleep, dude.
Right. It's like, would 12 be any better? I'm like, no, it wouldn't. And so again, after doing this song and dance with me for like 3 emails, I said, do me a favor, pick a time and I'll be there.
I'll make it work. Yeah.
Right. So of course they pick the time when I have a lesson.
Oh.
With the one student I have left.
You only have one left?
That's as many as I wanted to keep.
Yeah, okay.
That's as many as I wanted to keep.
And just seeing them through the end or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she seems to want to do this in perpetuity. So,
she's not studying for nothing, or?
Just to be a better human.
Oh, okay. Huh. So you give human lessons, huh?
Well, human and
in English.
Right. Right. Just making her less Russian overall. But yeah, so then they schedule us like, does this work for you? I'm like, no. Move it. Because I was like,
you just bullseyed it, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, I don't care. Because the whole thing was, when I saw that in, I was like, what am I in trouble for? Right?
Oh.
Just come clean. Just tell me what I'm in trouble for. You're not in trouble for anything. It's like, well, then do I need to go? It's like, yeah, when the people from here ask to see you, you kind of have to go.
Okay.
Like, oh, fuck's sake.
The curriculum, folks. Yeah.
The engineering side.
No, I get that, but that's the teacher equivalent there.
Oh, yeah. The people that try to, well, and that's the thing is it's not even the same gripe that I have with, like, say, crossing guards, right? Where crossing guards, you give them a stop sign with a stick on it, and suddenly they think that they're like aristocrats, or somebody that they see you like inching towards the intersection, and they just point it at you, right? They point that sign at you, and they shoot you the dirtiest look, right?
It depends on the crossing guard, so I got a story about that.
Alright.
So in front of my daughter's school, there was definitely the skinny 19-year-old wiener who used to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I feel you there. When I used to live down there, all right, and there was a crossing on that street. Where the greenways are?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there's no light there. All right. The guy who was the crossing guard there lived in the house that was right there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was probably in his mid-60s. I never saw him wear a shirt with sleeves.
Okay.
Even in the middle of, like, blowing snow.
Got it.
In the winter.
Okay.
He had tattoos on his face.
Okay. Okay.
And when he pointed at you, you listened.
Look, no, I got that.
He was a little different, though.
It's not that. It's the whole, like, I'm not encroaching on your territory, right? I wouldn't dare.
I got you.
I mean, but this strut they have where it's like, you don't carry a fucking badge and a gun.
Right.
Right? And maybe that's it. Maybe that's not fair. And I totally understand the guy with the face tattoos and all that other stuff. It
was just odd because it was his house. He lived there, man.
And it's not as though, I don't respect the situation where, yes, you want the kids to get across safely. I get that.
Yeah, sure.
Right? I'm not demeaning, what you're doing, but it's like that thing. You remember that asshole that used to put out that little like stick man with the slow down kids at play.
I've got one of those. My neighbor's got one, so they're everywhere.
Come on, man.
I'm just gonna let that one go, man. So he zip tied it to the fucking like no parking sign on there. It's just like, all right, man. Whatever.
Yeah, but those people were putting it in the street.
Oh, you mean the guys that? Yeah, you're right. They were putting.
Yeah.
No, my guy doesn't put it in the street. So,
No, you want to put that by the side of the road. That's fine.
Yeah. And no, it was always interesting that like very tempting to punt that guy into space with my car.
Oh, I was just gonna get out and send it on the roof.
like a Walter White pizza.
A little bit. It's like, who the fuck are you? It's like, you goddamn busybodies. It's like, again, yes, I understand that speeding's a concern, and you can put that thing in your house, right? But don't fucking block off the street.
Yeah, no. The guy who lives next door to me does not block off the street with it.
Fucking dickheads. Sorry, man. That makes me a little bit grumpy. Same thing, you go in there to this meeting, and it's just like, oh, we're on the engineering side. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Just ask me your stupid question. As a matter of fact, anything that all you had to do was just send me an email and ask me the question, right?
Right.
I would have answered that. If they said, like, do you have a screenshot? Do you have, like, you know what? I've got all the time in the world. I can go ahead and I can cut and paste for you. As like, you can go ahead and put this right here.
Right.
This is the exact version. This is my cut and pasted version. Right.
Got it.
You could do this right here. Right. Wouldn't care.
Yeah.
Wouldn't care. But the weird, just like, so tell me, how did you get into this? I'm like, oh,
I haven't had too many interactions with engineers
wanna.
on things, so yeah. But I feel you on that. I mean, maybe
We've
some
got
of the learning
nothing to say to
systems
each
that I've
other,
used over the years, I mean, I've done a couple like mini seminars on like, oh, this is how you teach online. It's like, man, I've been doing this for a decade, so
Right.
I don't need your post-COVID tips on how to do this, But even that's so rare anymore now, man. So they just don't they don't mess with me anymore. So I don't know.
I didn't even have the heart to tell them to, like, so they expect a certain amount of, work out of you, right? And it's a range. It's like, can you get, from this amount to this amount done,
How do they measure that?
by minutes. By duration of what you're working, right?
Okay, not by job.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Because they can range. They can be 7 minutes. They can be 8 hours. Right. I didn't have the heart to tell. It's like, well, to be fair, all I do is I get in there at midnight, or something like that. I have 8 hours worth of work done in an hour and 15 minutes to 2 hours. And
what do you just stay logged in or something?
you don't have to be.
Yeah, okay.
You don't have to be, because all they do is they measure and they see, like, all right, so here's how many hours you're basically, saying you worked. Right?
Okay.
Here's the total, what you submitted, right?
Right.
This divided by this, if it's in this figure, you're great.
Oh, so they use a ratio.
That's all it is.
So as long as your DAT ratio, your K to D ratio is good, they don't care, huh? That's hilarious. So they don't actually get in there and see, like, okay, Jeff completed 10 jobs in an hour and a half.
No.
As opposed to, I mean, it'd be the same as doing, like, 15 jobs in 8 hours. Well,
Right.
4 hours.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't care. Just as long as it's within it. Yeah, that's hilarious. So,
I mean, I guess this is something that I do like about that is, from their standpoint, it's like, well, the production's there. It's like,
yeah,
if it's done, it's done.
Yeah,
right?
no, that's going to attract a different kind of employee. That might be on purpose. So, yeah. Unlike many jobs where it's just like you better not punch in 1 minute late.
Yeah, I know.
And if you punch out 1 minute early, I'm gonna fucking skin you. Yeah.
I know, dog. I'm well aware of that. And if again, the even bigger crime is like work 1 minute of overtime and you're fired.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like I don't think it's that tight anymore on overtime. So
Depends on where you work, I'd imagine.
yeah. So I remember like a couple years ago at that bar that I go to, it was definitely one of those things. It's like I gotta punch out. I'm gonna hit overtime. If I stick around, I'm gonna get fired. Now it's like, no, you get all the overtime you want. So
Well, they have to keep everyone they can, right?
yeah, it's gotten tighter. So
Dude, I got into this I got into this fucking slap fight. Partially because
grocery store.
No. I wouldn't dare. No. No. This was internet related, and there was this dude working the drive up, right? At I think it was McDonald's. I think I saw a yellow M in there. Or what do they call that in Russia?
Tasty period. Yeah, you're supposed to ask your Russian friend about that. I still don't know. I don't know if Russian actually has punctuation.
I don't know. Well, anyway, so there's this fellow, and he's going off on somebody in the drive-thru, and he's
Wait, the guy who's man in the drive-thru, or a guy?
yes, the guy, the employee.
The employee, okay.
Right, and he's going off, and he's like, you know what, man? I don't give a fuck. I've been here 17 hours. Get the fuck out of my drive-up, right? And this is coming from me, especially knowing the situation here. Like, people are jumping in and saying like, yeah, he should go off. He's worked 17 hours. Like, no, man.
He should punch out and go home.
I was like,
Yeah.
nobody forced you to work 17 hours. Like, yeah, they can. I'm like, no, they can't.
No, they can't.
Like, because you can say no.
Yeah, you can say no.
You can say, I mean, like, there is no, like, law. They're like, what if he's salary? I'm like, is it worth it? This was the thing. It was like,
what if he's salary and he's running a drive-through window at McDonald's?
Well,
that's ridiculous.
I mean, he did have a white shirt on, but I don't really give a shit because
he might be a manager in
he
training.
might be a manager or something like that.
He doesn't need to be a manager in training if he's going to yell at fucking customers.
Well, that's the thing. Is they're like, no, they can force you. I'm like, no, nobody can.
No,
nobody can.
No, they can't.
No human on this planet can. And that's where I was like,
we gave up chains a long time ago. We fought a war over that.
We did. And it's not just chains. It's like we didn't like convert that into just like, well, okay, no slavery, but we'll go ahead and walk it back to indentured servitude.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's like we'll do that. It's like, no. It's like, if the fucking job sucks, it's like if they're quote unquote making you work 17 hours, right? Like, walk out.
Yeah. Tell your boss to fuck off.
Yeah. You don't need to work there. And people are like, oh, within each other, like, I looked it up right then and there. I'm like, do you know what the average wage of a fast food job is where I live?
It's like $17 an hour.
So. Well, it's like 14.
Okay.
Right? But that's still great.
That's I remember when my dad got it raised to $16 an hour.
That's what I'm talking about.
And it was like, oh my god, we're gonna get a boat.
Not granted,
that was different time. Okay, but
who was the president at the time?
That would have been Bill Clinton. So
okay,
that would have been Clinton.
I get it. There's been some changes in between, but like $14 average, and again, it goes from like the range that they had out there was like 11 to 19.
Yeah.
Right. And that was just like you could go starting at that.
You can make more money at DoorDash, so there's a lot of different ways to make that kind of money.
And that was the other part that's when I mentioned that, like you were talking about, is right now places are fighting to get and keep employees.
Yeah.
So if this piece of shit is keeping you for 17 hours, right? It's like, yeah, you can be mad. Not the customers.
Yeah,
because they didn't force you to be there.
Uh-uh.
And yeah, there's this whole like that. again, your communism detector goes off. That's all that is.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry
Is-
if I inured you to that a little bit.
No,
So,
well, it's biological, but you did rub off some of those, like, you never had to ask me to be anti-communist. You understand
right,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I got you. So,
Now I understand that my totalitarian views toward education may modify or obfuscate my standings on this.
right.
But these aren't citizens yet.
Your children's. You know?
Correct. They haven't received their
They haven't gone and fought the bugs yet in the mobile retreat.
So until you hit that point, your ass is mine, right?
All green on the inside. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have been able to restrain myself in a fight like that anymore. I mean, I do get some students every now and then, they get a little whiny about that. They can't find a job. It's like, no, you can't find the kind of job that you want right now. All right, that's different. Okay,
Right.
so ask yourself what's important right now. Is it pay? Okay, if you got debts and shit like that, you got to scrub off, then it's pay. Okay, so
Take the highest paying job you can.
absolutely.
Right.
So, if it's like, well, I'm trying to break into this industry, great. You can always get into the ground level in just about any industry you want, except for being like a fucking SAG writer now. But whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, totally understand. And if that's the case, if that means that you have to intern somewhere, there you go.
That's what it means.
That's what you do.
Yep, that's what it means. You don't have to work in that industry. So,
Well, and that's the other question. Why do you want to work in that industry?
right. Yeah. And the last one is your location. I mean, if you're flexible on that, you can
Yeah.
make a fucking mint. So in this world. So if you're willing to pack your bags next week, you can go find $100,000 jobs, no problem. No problem. So
Do you know what those fuckers? Okay, you mentioned the SAG guys, right?
well, I meant the WGA guys, not. I guess it's the same. Whatever.
Well,
Fuck
they're
them all.
both.
Yeah, they're both on strike.
They're collaborating, but it's the WGA guys that are crying poverty.
Yeah.
You know what their day rate is?
I don't know.
It's like $1,010.
A day?
Yes.
Well, how many days do they work average in a month?
Don't know.
See, that would
but
matter.
that's their day rate.
Yeah, that would matter. So if they only get 2 days a month, okay, it's a shitty job. So,
Well, of course.
but then you have 28 days to
Right.
go barista somewhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So as soon as I saw that, my sympathies evaporated, and they were running
$1,000 a
on-
day.
Yes, because if it's
yeah.
2 weeks, you're great. If it's 2 days, you're great. If it's 28 days, you're great.
If you're 28 days, that's an insane amount of money. So,
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were, again, the whole thing was they were just crying poverty. I'm like, go fuck yourselves, guys. Like, don't.
Okay, to be fair, if they're trying to do it in LA, that might be hard. So, or New York, but I mean, fuck. Like, if you're working 10 days out of the month, fly, get a hotel, or drive your beater.
There you go.
Get an Airbnb for a few days.
Uh-huh.
Buddy up with a couple friends. You can make that work. I mean, dude, this is not people hopping goddamn freight trains here
I
for
know.
the promised land.
That is it. But that was the cry. That was the
Right.
the bullhorn.
I don't think they get their protein from beans.
It's like, you
It's
guys,
true leather.
I know. Oh, God, it's,
It's a magic bloody dinner.
dude, it was driving me absolutely nuts, and that was the part that was killing me right there, because these are the people that are writing the stories. These are the people that, we've said it before, I'll say it again, right? You're the sum of your experiences. And if your experiences are that this thing right now that you're going through is such a hardship, your storytelling ability is fucking dog shit.
Yeah. You need to have some ramen years, and I'm not talking about the bowls that you pay $17 for and get a little tiny piece of pork in it.
Well, you can have those, but you'll enjoy it because you had the 10-cent stuff.
Right, you had a lot of MSG in your past.
And this is not to say that everybody from here should be you take a vow of poverty and you go ahead and journey through Southeast Asia, and you try to live off the street and you hustle and you have a story that is like, I was so hungry I stabbed a guy. No, that's not. That's.
Have you ever eaten like a squirrel?
Yeah, it's like, so he had 2 apples. I asked him for 1 apple. He said no.
Yeah.
I gutted him, and now I have 2 apples. And I ate human meat. Right? It's not that. That's not what I'm saying. But to have some perspective, like, I can't even imagine how many, like, taking a look at those people and saying, like, how did you guys sign up for, like, you knew you couldn't afford college, and the Army was the only way you could do it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a lot more common 20 years ago than it is now.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, even that was a little bit different. I mean, I've learned over the years that most people don't join the Army because they're poor or because that's the only way they can afford college. It's because they want to go fuck shit up. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
And there's a place where you can do that.
There is a place where you can do that. You can play with all the Boomba guns that you could carry.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the older that I get, the more people that so you get out, you get a little salty and stuff. My back hurts, and my legs fucked up.
Absolutely.
And,
I can't hear out of this.
Right, exactly. I got permanent tinnitus and stuff. But then after a couple years, they're like, man, I've been sitting at a desk for a while. You know what I miss?
Jeffrey, you ever seen the Mark 19 grenade launcher?
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever seen this thing in action? So
I'm like, no, what is that? It's a machine gun that fires grenades. No way. Yeah, let me tell you about it. So there was this day where we had to, like, in order to get more ammunition, we had to use our ammunition.
Yeah.
So we'd take 3 days and blow up this hill. Like, you're kidding me. It's like, no. It's like, so you eat cheeseburgers, and then you go blow up the hill, and then you go eat more cheeseburgers and blow up the hill.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, there are guys, of course, a lot of the guys, that I saw like that did have a couple of stories to tell where it's like, this shit got nasty.
Oh, yeah, no.
Right.
Yeah. I've definitely known quite a few of them.
But the majority of them were like, so it's 95%, not even 95, it's like 97% cheeseburgers and blowing up the hill. And then 3% of like, I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why? I realized I made bad life choices. So.
Yeah, it's like, I could have been, at the WGA.
Right.
Because these were your alternatives. Yeah.
That's a limited bandwidth of guys who didn't have experiences like that are going to make it into that industry, though, man. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then the same thing's true with, like, people who eat poverty burgers for years. So, it's just, I mean, you really got to come out of left field, or you got to be, a YouTube guy or something like that to begin with. I mean, you go through a writing program at a decent college, or even kind of like a picky liberal arts college, and you write a couple short stories now, and then next thing you know, you're writing for what, a nickel a word or a nickel a paragraph for Business Insider or some bullshit. So you're not going to break in there either, man. So you got to know people. So
yeah,
you got to know people, or you got to put out shit that people notice. Do it that way. So one of those two things. And so, yeah, I have no sympathy for people who've been writing shitty sitcoms, because, well, my daddy was a writer for Seinfeld. It's like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great. So, yeah.
Your dad was good at it. I wish.
Your dad was good at it.
I wish he would have taught you anything.
Yeah. So. And the same thing. I mean, I don't know. We spent so much time talking about movies lately. I can't do it anymore, you know. So there's literally like no sympathy. So
Well, it's hard for me, right? I mean, all right. So here's the shining light in this, right? Is that okay? So a lot of stories, especially like on the movie level, a lot of these are adapted from books, right?
yeah,
So at least you get the author's experience that comes from there, right? If they're writing about the situation where they were a policeman, military person, something like that, something where they have some kind of experience to draw off of, right? Rather than just this. Yes, I understand that people are adapting this, but they're still adapting the vision that you gave,
right, yeah,
right? If you put these fucking idiots unfettered with source material and say like, hey, why don't you fuck this up, right? It's like, gladly, sure,
yeah.
right? There's this thing. I was watching this video, right? And it just sort of confirmed a lot of the things that I've been saying, especially with the adaptations and things that they've been doing here, where they were advised to specifically not read the source material.
Why's that?
Uh, you got me.
Was this the Lord of the Rings thing? Because
No.
I heard that.
I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
Well, didn't those guys kind of like shyster their way into it and pretend like
I don't know their backstory.
I thought you told me that. I thought you told me where these guys sort of just they took some Cliff Notes versions of this and basically BS their way through it.
They might have, but they had written a couple like little things before that, and so it's kind of a question of like, well, why the fuck would you give this much money, to this writing team here? So, but anyway, I don't know the full story behind that. It got so convoluted with all the fucking horseshit that came out after that. So,
Well, what do you do? Again, like you as a fan, like, so let me scale it back for a second because you played both of those Shadow of Mordor games, right?
oh yeah,
Okay. Now, I asked you once how how they played to the story, and you made it clear fast and loose was the response.
fast and loose is the response. Yeah.
Now,
but they were fun.
well, here's the question.
Yeah.
Why were those okay versus compared to what they were doing in Rings of Power?
They weren't trying to write any kind of like legacy stuff. So with that, it was an after. It's kind of like okay, this was going on at the same time. It doesn't have any impact on the story because you know how the fucking story goes. So and when you play the game, it doesn't. Okay. Now, arguably in the second one, it does, but that's just because they dished out way too much fucking game. And I mean, even I couldn't get to the end to it because I was like, wait a minute, you want me to take all the shit back? So
What that you took before?
yeah, they took it all away from me, and then they said, "Oh, go take it
That makes
back."
me so mad.
I know, and I was like, "Nah, guys, you know what? I've had enough war. I'm good. I get Sauron can have it."
He's put in the effort.
He's put in the effort.
He's put in the time. He's got seniority.
Yeah,
You know,
so the
it's-
second one played a little bit more fast and loose. The first one was fine, and it was a perfectly like, it was just a nice little game that was kind of set off, and it was kind of like fun, and it just didn't really have that much to do. There was an annoying couple scenes in there where Gollum was there, but he was there in the books, so it was like okay, whatever, but yeah, it was fine.
Okay.
I think games get more license to do that shit anyway. I mean, look how many Star Wars games we've had over the years. So,
Well, all right. So
I think games are downstream of movies. So, unless you actually specifically make a movie off a fucking game. So, and movies are downstream from literature. So,
yeah, they are.
if it exists. So, it doesn't always exist.
Yeah, but help me out with this. Like, I'm trying to think about games. Like, you mentioned, like, Star Wars, and this is not a Star Wars discussion. This is an adaptation discussion. So, we know what we're doing here. Like, when was it done appropriately where you're saying, like, all right, well, this doesn't really step on the toes of anything?
Oh, Dark Force is one. Duh. That one's easy. But even Shadow of Empire was great. So, Knights of the Old Republic was fine. There's tons of them. Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of anything that like back in the day overstepped and said like, you know what, this Luke Skywalker guy wasn't really all that important. The real action was going on over here.
That would be impossible to do because they were all made by LucasArts, which was still owned by the guy back then.
Right.
Yeah, so he rubber stamped everything. So that went through that studio. Even games that had nothing to do with any of his properties. So they had to run them by him. So
did the same thing go with the Indiana Jones games?
Yep.
Like,
those were Lucasfilm games too.
Well, they were, but I mean, I don't really recall too many games out of them that were just crazy out of character.
There were only 2. Well, there was like two,
Well,
there were like 2 or 3 side scrollers and stuff. Like I remember playing one on the Sega. What was the gamepad? What was that called?
The Game Gear?
Yeah, I had a Sega Game Gear that had an Indiana Jones game.
Yeah, so, and there was an arcade game for Temple of Doom that I hated.
There was an arcade game. I do remember riding on the subway, or not the subway,
but yeah,
the mine carts. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So yeah, there were Nintendo games and Sega games.
The only game they cut from whole cloth was Fate of Atlantis, and they were supposed to do another one after that, but I think that the studio folded so before then, or he sold it off or something.
With the studio folded? No, they were going on for a long time. Because remember,
but I don't know if he owned it directly the entire time. I'm not sure.
Who, George Lucas?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought that was his shit.
It was, but this is like, so you're butting up to the new movies at this point in time. So episode 1, 2, and 3. I don't think he was too involved in the game shit at that point in time.
Oh. I say yeah, because like after that, yeah, they definitely kept making stuff from Lucasfilms. Like,
yeah, I know. I just don't know how involved he was in it.
Oh, that I can't tell you.
Because I know the later Star Wars games were not made by Lucasfilm anymore, or if they were made by Lucasfilm, it was because it was part of Disney or something.
Well, I think there was a lot of that was outsourced. That they had like different teams working on stuff. Like,
there was a point in the mid-90s where he kind of got away from games. So I don't know if he retained ownership of the studio or not, or if they just maintained the brand.
Oh, Lucasfilm Games?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, because once he went in new movie territory, we did not see any Star Wars games that weren't movie-related for a while. So...
yeah, that's true, huh? They did make a couple of... They made that episode 1 kind of adventure game.
I played that one. It was actually kind of
fun. Yeah. But they also made like the pod racing game, and
that one was less fun.
It was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't care, but it wasn't really for me. But yeah, they made that, and I know that they made ancillary things. They made like Republic Commando, which was actually a pretty good game.
I don't remember that one.
It was after like the Clone Wars came out, and they made you like a it was a squad-based shooter game based off of being.
That one. Yeah.
It was actually pretty good. And I know.
No, the only one that I played after that, I think, was Battlefront. We played that for a while.
Oh, right. Was it? Oh, actually, no, that's not true, because the Jedi Knight series was going on while they were still making new episode games.
Yeah.
Because that stupid franchise had a life of its own.
Yeah, it was just an arena shooter, though. I don't even know if there's much of a story. I never played any of those past, like, the first Jedi Knight.
So yeah, that would be Dark Forces 2.
Yeah, I remember playing
I got
that
turned
one.
off by that.
Yeah. Where everybody's like, oh, you get lightsabers in it, and he's just, like, sitting there just waving a broomstick at somebody.
Well, I mean, that wasn't even the thing for me. It was like, yes, I can, but now it's every other game that I've played.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Like, I don't want to be a Jedi. I'm not picking it. Like, I get it. I get this is, what you guys want, right?
Yeah.
But, no.
No. I remember playing, like, one of the later ones at one of the... It might have been one of the land shops that we used to go to.
Academy. Yeah.
Yeah. Jedi Academy.
That's where they went.
Yeah, we did play that one. Yeah, that's right. Just a little bit. But, none of those really kind of messed with what was going on with the actual Lord. George Lucas was doing a good job of that himself at the time. So, but it was his. So, whatever.
Well, in hindsight,
Man, people have changed their tune on that.
Jesus, yeah, I am singing a different tune.
Yeah, I still argue that they're almost unwatchable. You know, especially that second one. It was on the other day, and it was just
I
like,
know.
yeah, it's so PS2, man. It's like, oh my god.
And there's so much of it.
It's nothing but.
There's
It's
so
nothing
much of
but,
it,
man. It's
And-
nothing but.
You want to talk? Okay, so I don't know the breadth of his idea when he put this together. I don't know if, because it is so like, you have to be on like 10 Adderall to watch that movie because it is so all over the place, and I just wonder,
He
like,
might have been. Yeah.
that's what I wonder is like, did he have like so many ideas? Like, well, the only way I can get all this in is to, like, I have to cram all these in with these like super short scenes. I'm like, you know, brother, like, you got to make some decisions. Like,
I've seen people go through and actually make decent cuts of those movies.
Yeah,
So
I
that
can
are
believe
like,
it, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, sometimes they do have to fill it in with, like, you know, still like drawings and stuff.
Sure,
you know, and things
sure.
like that. But
yeah,
he would, if he had like worked on it for like 2 more years, he probably would have been there a little bit closer. So, you know, but anyway,
well, because when you boil it down and you get down to the heart of that second movie, right? You have to ask yourself, say, like, so what is the important part of the story, right? And when you get down to it, right, the story, the part that matters is when he killed the women and the children.
yeah.
But there's so much crap in that movie that comes across as just all right, so what? Right?
Yeah, no.
It's just an and then.
He needs to
right?
spend a lot more pause time on that one. So, but,
That's what the movie needed to be about.
yeah, I didn't need a giant robot versus cricket fight at the end of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
you forgot about that part? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot.
Robot versus chicken versus crickets versus drones. Or clones, sorry.
Oh, right. I forgot. Yeah. So yeah, that's the so they're fighting that giant hydralisk, a saber-toothed tiger.
It's kind of a lizard too, yeah.
Yeah. And there's like one other animal in there, like
Those are
kind of
rhinoceros.
like a rhinoceros. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. One of them was a hydralisk.
That absolutely was a hydralisk. And then there's clones and robots and
Jedis.
and
And decapitated bounty hunters. It's just too much, man. This is too much.
it comes down to it, it's like, so what about the women and the children? It's like, well, you cried about it like for a little bit, and you know your woman was like, there.
Yeah.
These things happen.
The third one still holds up.
I think it's a
I watched
fine
that
movie.
one not too bad.
Absolutely
Yeah,
fine.
not too long ago. It actually holds up pretty good.
Is it brilliant?
The
No.
ending of it is dumb. So yeah.
Which part of the ending?
Luke, Leia,
Oh,
and then George's voice. It's like she's lost the will to live. Like somebody lost the will to write.
like it's really very simple. Like, people do die in childbirth, you know. So you ask that stupid robot, you say, like, what's happening? It's like, well, so there's all this blood down here,
Right.
and it needs to be in there.
Right.
And you know, so we used all the spoons we had, and we couldn't get it to fit.
See, it would have been better if she just died and they had to get the kids out of her.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Or, he killed her. Actually killed her.
actually killed her. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that
Right.
would have been. Oh, see, easy.
And now he's thinking, like, I killed the children, but yeah, you have this, you know, machine in there that's like,
Oh yeah, I killed the children.
Yeah.
See, that actually works. Yeah.
that
he's
that
just
makes
fucked up.
sense when in episode 5, and he's sitting down there on one knee, and the googly-eyed emperor from the first movie pops up, and he gives this weird expository dump, and he says, he says like he breaks it down. It's so awkward. He's like, the rebel that blew up the Death Star, I have no doubt this is the offspring of Anakin Skywalker. I'm like, you're talking to me. Because you say you.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, so there's some discontinuity there, just because I don't think he ever actually planned on making the other 3 movies.
Well, no, of course,
Yeah.
of course. But you know, if you do it where he kills her, right?
It makes
Right.
sense.
And so you know his line next, he says, "How is that possible?"
Right, yeah.
Right? So if he's thinking like, well, I choked the woman to death, I presumed that the 2 fruits inside of her would like shrivel up because I killed her.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Then that would be some surprise. But then the in hindsight it becomes so bizarre, right? Where he's like,
It does. It's just sloppy, you know. And I mean, like, some of that's just pressure to get it done, get it out. You know, a lot of it was just, I don't know. The man had his moments, and you know, then there was other times where he was normal. So, whatever, man. I mean, compared to the filth that came out after that,
right?
So I'm willing to forgive almost all sins here, including bad PS2 CGI.
Oh
which
yeah,
was pretty cutting edge at the
it was
time.
charming in comparison.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
nowadays it's like it's gross. It's easier to watch the old ones. You know?
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, and you have just like 3 different shades that you want to look at here. So you can look at, the modern ones, which are just not worth your time. You can look at the original ones where it's like, you guys are using stop motion, right? And then there's a cuteness to it.
Cute. Yeah.
But in hindsight, you're like, wait, so these take place in the middle, right? It's like, but your clay figures are just kind of like gently picking each other up and setting each other down.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. This
It's fine, dude. It's just the way that it had to be.
of course,
Yeah.
of course. Now that would never excuse, like, you're George Lucas. You're sitting there like shaking your head and you're saying, I had no money. Like, this was done by my friend's kid. He knocked it out of the park at the time.
Yeah.
But from the eyes of somebody that's seen like computer advancement, I can understand like taking out a notepad and saying, I have to fix this.
Yeah.
I don't forgive it.
Yeah.
Just let it ride. People enjoyed it, but whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, so those guys are pushing more than 40 years old now.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this the other day because I was just cruising around on the TV trying to see if there's anything worth my time watching.
Was there?
No. But I was looking at all these movies that I kind of liked when I was at like prime movie going age, where that's where I spent my extra $5.
Where would you? Okay, if you were saying prime movie age, give me a range. Where would that be?
I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right.
late
All
teens.
right.
Early
So
20s.
I'll have your perspective. All right.
Yeah, and so I mean, so at that point in time, 40 years would have put my Star Wars in the 1950s, and so, or up to the 60s.
Okay.
There are very few movies from that era that I've actually gone back and watched. So I don't think very many people are going to be going back to these movies in the future, man. So there are they are very genre specific. They're specific to things that I was interested in. So, but there is not, like, if I go back to 1955 and look at all the movies that came out in 1955, I guarantee you I've seen less than 1% of them. So, and even of the really good ones that were coming out there, I've probably seen less than 10% of those. So,
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and so,
Should.
like, it was kind of one of those things. It was like, you know what, it'll be fine, dude. They'll redo all the Star Wars someday when another full generation has passed. And they'll be better. Because it can't be worse. So, it'll be fine, man. We just have to wait another 10 years. So,
No, you're right. You're right.
So because there's like entire genres that have kind of come and gone. And then slowly kind of try and poke their way back, but then they get tamped back down. But it's going to come back someday. We're going to get a new batch of war movies in the next 10 years. Okay, we're kind of done with that now for a bit. Get a new batch of westerns in another 10 years. Because you always get like 5, 6 that come out in a row. People get tired of it, and then off you go. So. But then there's other franchises that come back. And so, like, eventually CBS will get off its ass and do something good with Star Trek. So, because, people will be like, oh, there's a whole library of shit back there that people really liked, and so we were onto something. Let's try it again. Well, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and you're right. And I mean, there is something to be said about you don't know exactly what time it happens. You can't predict it. You can't set a clock to it. You can say, like, I think it'll happen from this time to this time, but there's just one day that rolls over, right? and just you look at what was fresh and you say, this shit's corny.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I mean, that's the you're talking about. So you watched an entire legion of basically like action movies disintegrate after Die Hard. They're like the format changed. You're like, this is cartoony, right?
It did get cartoony, almost intentionally. So
Absolutely.
it's fine.
Well, because it was one-upsmanship all the whole way, and eventually it became a parody unto itself.
Right. Until you fly Harriers around the place.
You know, and that's not to say that you don't get a decent enough swan song.
Yeah, that's
to cap things out, right? Yeah. But yeah, there comes a point where you're just like, this shit is corny, right? Look, I imagine, like, I wasn't there, but I can't even imagine what the westerns were that would have made people say, like, you know what, I'm done with this.
It was the Clint Eastwood ones. Yeah. So yeah, there was a break.
It's just so nihilistic that you're like,
so my dad wouldn't watch them. So he was a John Wayne man all the way through.
There you go.
He hated spaghetti westerns. So
that means the Charles Bronson ones and all the other.
Oh Lord, yeah, no, it had to be John Wayne, and anything with Jimmy Stewart he'd watch, but neither of those guys would show up on the same screen as fucking Clint Eastwood. So, so his swan song is of course The Shootist. There you go.
I got it. And if you were into Clint Eastwood, I don't know where that necessarily ends.
Well, speaking of that, there's your swan song for the fucking war genre. That would be Kelly's Heroes, man. So that movie rubbed a lot of people the right way and a lot of people the wrong way.
Why?
There were two different audiences from that point on. So
wait, because they saw those guys as like scumbags or what?
Well, yeah, that's where you start going down. You get movies like Dirty Dozen, which eventually turns into shit like Platoon and stuff, where it's actual critique on war rather than it's like this shit's fucking cool.
Well, okay, but that's the thing is once you go meta, you can't really put the genie back in the box.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's kind of like when I'm at this point where especially like with superhero stuff like this, like you've gone past deconstruction, right? And once you're past deconstruction, you don't get to go back into the traditional storing methods because you're relying on tropes that you've just poked fun at.
Or even if you're not doing it, if somebody in your industry is doing it, it's cat's out of the bag. No, you're right. You're right about that, and it's happened to superhero films ever since. Well, there's been a few, but I guess like Deadpool was the one that kind of clicked it over for me.
Kind of, yeah.
Deadpool or definitely like The Boys, which I can't watch it, man. It's too cynical. So.
It's incredibly cynical. I watched the first season.
Yeah.
And then the second season promised to address issues of like white nationalism stuff. I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm like,
I can't.
You guys don't have the chops to do this with any dignity. Like you guys have already screwed up certain things where you're like, yeah, but we want to change this character so she needs to be more empowered. I'm like, well, you just screwed up the whole story.
Yeah.
Because now this other guy that's with her, he's lost his entire purpose. He's just a hanger-on.
Yeah.
Because you thought this would be cute.
I only watched a couple episodes. I just couldn't do it. So.
And I did like a lot of what was going on. I'm like, yeah, there's some cool stuff here. But also at the same time, like, there's nothing here where you wouldn't drag me into another season by deviating and saying, like, nah, we're going to take this in our own direction. I was like, you don't have what it takes.
Yeah, no, you guys really don't. So, that's okay, man. Just watch normie TV now. Just watch baseball today.
Yeah, baseball. There you go. Yeah, that's
just watching baseball. This is not scripted.
Same thing goes for me in hockey.
There you go.
It's where I go to escape.
Yeah.
Fiction.
Fiction. Yeah. No.
Again, I don't want to come down too hard on this. Like, and the other part of this is look, if somebody is deriving pleasure from this, I absolutely don't want to rob them of it. No. Right? And not all things will be to my taste, thank God, because there would be if the TGIF lineup was just all shows that were designed towards my mentality, right? It wouldn't work.
They'd have a pretty small audience, Jeff.
It would be terrible.
Yeah, it'd be, yeah.
I'd be fine.
You'd like it, yeah.
You know what? It would eventually rub me the wrong way. Eventually it would turn me contrarian. It's like, who's this asshole?
Yeah.
Right? Who's this guy that they're catering to?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, like I said, baseball was good today. I mean, everyone's Yankees were on, so I can't get the Rockies games, man. They're blacked out. So, unless they're on local network television, so which is rare.
Well, I mean, Patrick, there are ways around that.
I know there are ways around that, but I guess I don't really care that much. So I can always pull it up on the MLB app. So.
Well, that's the trick is if you really want to jump in, right? I mean, you're not going to turn into a hardcore Rockies fan. You just want to casually watch this. There's no
that's why whatever game's on TBS, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah, just as long as there's baseball on or whatever. I'll even just throw ESPN on now sometimes just to see what's going on. So
I feel like in some ways you're more of a fan of the sport than you are.
I am definitely a fan of sport.
Yeah, than you are necessarily loyalty to a team.
No. There's a lot of teams in the MLB that I will root for. So, which is different than the NFL, man. So there are fan bases in the NFL that I just cannot throw my weight behind. So
Who?
I'm sorry, you guys are just assholes. So
Who's on the naughty step?
well, definitely the Raiders. So there's just terrible people. I hate Eagles fans. So yeah, I've never met nice Jets fans. So I've never met Jets fans that weren't loud, unnecessarily loud.
Well, they have a persecution complex.
Well, so do Browns fans. So
Browns fans are right, though.
Browns fans are right, but fucking move. Change your team.
No. the argument with Browns fans that I have is you know, if you were kids, you know, raised in the Browns system, right? It's almost like you were molested, and I don't mean that in no, I'm serious. Like you.
It's like Catholic kids getting molested by their priests and then remaining Catholic the rest of their life.
Yeah, because your sexuality is all fucked up from that. You're like, well, they molested me, but this is now what love is.
Yeah, no. See, you need pills. You need time on the couch, man. Yeah,
yeah. No,
you need a hug and you know, a platonic hug, not an action. Yeah, not what you call a hug. Yeah.
Well, those people who have gone through treatment, those are the Ohio fans that root for Pittsburgh.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Eastern Ohio, right? Yeah, annexed by Steelers fans.
Absolutely, right. And it's not to say go root for a winner. That is not what this is about. It's root for a team that cares. Root for a team that is. This has been our problem with the Rockies. You and I both know that if our team was trying, you and I would be down. You and I would be like, if you'd see like, yeah, they're putting in the time, the money. Shit doesn't work out a lot of times. You play in the same division as the Dodgers, who just spend and spend and spend, right? You're gonna have some rough sledding.
The Dodgers are tough, man.
But if you saw your team,
the Diamondbacks do the same thing, and the Giants. Yeah. So the Diamondbacks get this fucking stick up their ass every couple of years where they decide we're gonna spend on our team. And we're going to go beat on the Rockies. So, yeah, San Diego does the same thing. And then there's years where San Diego is fucking terrible.
Terrible.
So, yeah.
Worse than us.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but if we saw that our team was putting in the effort, we'd be on board.
So I'm a little bit less, you know, anti-Monfort. I mean, I'm not pro-Monfort, but, I mean, it makes money. They put enough money into it to keep it interesting. So, all right. I can see that as a strategy. You never know. You spin the wheel enough, you might get $1, you know? So, you know?
Yeah.
But then if you're going to a spin-off, you're probably going to lose. So, you know, I mean, it's just, it's fine, man. I mean, whatever. There's other teams you can root for, but I'm not going to put hate on the Rockies. It's
No, not the well, because the Rockies are just made out of players, right? And the players are trying their hardest, right?
yeah,
But when it comes down to it, you know, it's the office. It comes down to the office, and it's like if you can tell that they're on autopilot, like you said, it's just a you know, a money making thing for them. It's like, well, maybe this isn't the business for you. Just
maybe. But I'm not going to vote with my feet on that one. So, you know, my feet are like, that's the only major league stadium around here. Okay, I'm going to give them my money. So I'm going to do it at least
No.
once or twice a year. So it's totally different than movies, where it's like, fuck you, I'm not going to movies anymore. So, you know, get better. Yeah. So I'm not going to waste my money on that. So with the Rockies, it's kind of like, all right, well, this is the game in town. So if I'm going to go see an actual baseball game, which is more about beer and peanuts.
no,
So, yeah.
I understand, and I'm not taking that away from you. What I'm saying here is, if they were a team that was putting in more effort,
Oh, yeah.
it wouldn't be just 1 to 2 games that you'd go.
Oh, no, I
Right.
go to a lot more. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, support the team.
No, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Because yeah, there's like, because you're faced with a conundrum right now. Is like, I gotta drive to Denver to see this.
And find parking and
Right.
yeah.
Right. But yeah, it's the that's the conundrum right there. Right.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I'm just a fan of the sport too. So
exactly,
if it's a baseball
you
game,
just
I'm
go to a
gonna
ball
watch it.
game.
Yeah, just
Right.
go to a ball
Yeah.
game. So
I'm not asking you to lay in that forever boycott. I mean, it's just not.
oh
That's
man,
ridiculous.
I can't do that. I don't have that much spite in my system.
You have spite toward weird things, though.
I guess, yeah, communism.
To me, that's not weird. To me,
Oh,
that's,
okay.
that's like, it's funny that your disdain for it is amazing because of where it leads.
What does it lead to?
For you, to me, it seems like the real hatred of communism comes from your hatred of people trying to game the system.
Yes,
And yes,
you guys are trying to be that guy. So very few poor people like communism. So there's a whole bunch of rich people out there who aren't rich quite enough. You know, they still actually have to go to work and they don't
Yeah.
like it. You know, they say, well, it'd be a lot better if I had cheaper health care. It's like, yeah, it'd be better for everybody. Why don't we give to the poor people? No, we got to give to everybody. It's like, no, we don't. So you can afford it.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So no, it needs to go to poor people. It needs to go to people who like literally get bankrupted by their bills. It doesn't need to go to you so you can get fucking acupuncture for your cat or whatever, you know. So that's something you can pay out of pocket. Thank you very much.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's always the weird thing is, especially in like, you know, countries with like socialized medicine, I notice they all still have like private options available.
All of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because it's like, well, shouldn't we be taking all this money and then redistributing that to all of the healthcare? They're
Right.
like, no, we still want a second tier option.
Yeah. It under any kind of scrutiny, the whole thing fucking falls apart in 5 minutes. So, you know, it's crazy. So
Yeah, you've really turned a leaf on that.
I
You
really have, man.
Yeah, you have
I went and I did the math.
denounced your.
It's like, all right, I see what's going on here, man. You know, I was like, it's just what you think is a necessity is not a necessity for a lot of people out there. So, you know, it's the same argument. I hear all these things. Oh, people in America are starving. It's like, no, they're not starving. So
Far from it.
they're probably eating shit food. Okay, but that's different than starving. So when you talk about
That's malnourishment.
it's malnourishment. When you talk about food insecurity out there, go in there and look at the math on that a little bit. Most of your food insecurity is due to the fact that people like are fucking homeless and would rather shoot heroin than buy food. So, you know, actually look at the math on it. It's pretty clear. You know,
And we
it's pretty clear that your chemically dependent households are where your fuel, where your food insecurity is. If you got a kid who's starving, that's a very easy problem to fix. Okay, in fact, we do it every day. So
well, okay, yeah, because yes, you need to sit that person, you know, down for a moment and say like, all right, so I've done the finance. It's like, well, it's like, so This is your tweaking budget, right?
Right.
Versus.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I'm not saying you can't tweak. I'm not saying it's good for you, but if we could reduce tweakage, right? Maybe
Correct.
you're just a weekend guy,
Maybe, yeah, exactly.
right? Or maybe you just do a little bit less per day,
Yes.
right? And then your kid will eat less shoe boxes.
They'll actually have somewhere to sleep. Yeah, come on, man.
Now, think of all the money you're also going to save on scab treatment
Right.
and
And extra layers of clothing. Yeah.
I mean, your wife did pull her own eyeballs out.
Man.
Yeah, it's that, and then the other piece of this. Where are you hearing that Americans are starving? Who's
Well, you
running
hear
that
from the
fucking
same
game?
people all the time, man. It's the people who are out there arguing for the strike, which we've beaten to death tonight. And then, redistribution, higher taxes on the wealthy, blah, 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 blah. But if you actually go out there and look at the polling data, you find very few people who are in the lower, like, 2/3 of the income strata who have any problem with rich people. They really fucking don't. Because they all want to be them.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So this was the part that I noticed, and a lot of this, of course, is going to be on how the media presents this, right? This is specifically about the perception of certain groups, the size of them, versus
it's
the
way
reality.
off. It's way off.
So, people,
Test me on this.
okay,
Let's see if I'm up to speed.
okay. What is the true proportion of people that have a household income over 1 million?
Oh, it's tiny. It's like a percent.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's less than 1%.
Okay.
It's so much that's closer to zero.
Right. It's tiny.
What is the estimated percentage
Of what?
of households that have over 1 million, that earn over $1 million a year?
Earn over or half over?
Yes.
Earn.
Household income over
Income.
1 million a year.
Oh, I bet you it's like .2.
No, the estimated.
Oh, yeah. People are gonna be thinking it's like 30%
It's 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They think, oh my God, there's so many people out there, make so much fucking money. I mean, $1 million of income a year is insane. So
Household.
yeah,
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
household, that's insane. I
Yeah.
mean, you're talking about a doctor that married a doctor who was already a lawyer. And then
Right.
the other doctor became
Yeah.
a lawyer.
Right, right. And double, majored in 2 kinds of law.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right.
We do corporate law and, fucking securities law.
But I also do divorces on the side.
Right, yeah, but only for, like,
For
celebrities.
rich people, yeah. Okay, Patrick.
It's tiny. So,
What is the proportion of Americans that live in New York City?
the proportion?
The percentage of people that live in New York City?
Like 1 or 2.
It's 3.
Okay.
3%.
All right.
What is the percentage that people estimate live in New York City?
I'm going to guess it's probably about 15.
They say 30% of the population lives in New York City.
No. I don't even think 30% of the population lives in California, man. So, no, it doesn't. So, I think it's probably like what? Maybe like 15% of the U.S. population lives in California. So,
It's 12.
oh, okay.
People think 32% of the population lives there.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. How many people, of percentage of population, working people,
Sure.
are members of a union?
Oh, less than, I'm going to say less than 3%.
You're so close. It's 4%.
Yeah, okay.
What's the estimation?
Oh, like 30%. Yeah.
36%.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's like, oh, that guy's rich. He works for a union. Blah blah blah. Yeah. No, it's tiny. Unions are so stupid in today's
Well,
world.
keep in mind, this also counts crap unions like the ones that I was in.
Right? Yeah.
like the
your
TGG.
teaching association, which supposedly controls the curriculum for your kids. Blah. It's like
You
can't even organize a fucking spaghetti dinner, man.
No, on your best day. On your best day. No,
Yeah.
it's just
you can't even organize a decent in-service, man.
like at least the student organizations have no trouble like rounding up a bus. Like the actual team. Okay, Patrick.
All right.
What percent of the population is Jewish?
Again, maybe 2%.
2%. You're correct.
Oh man, I nailed that one.
What's the estimation?
Like 30.
Yes,
Yeah,
30 on the dot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Like the land is just awash in the goyim. So or I guess the tribe. I always get those backwards.
Yeah, the Goyams, the non-Jews, the tribe. Yes. Okay. What percentage of the population is transgender?
Less than 1/10 of 1%.
They say that generously, it's 1%.
That's very generous.
I say that is too.
That's
right.
That's called a rounding error.
You're rounding way the fuck up.
Way the fuck up.
Way the fuck up. How many are estimated?
20.
21%.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew that one though. I had heard that.
Okay.
I had to go look at it because I thought it was so ridiculous.
It's absurd. Yes. Okay.
Now, of
Patrick.
course, this depends on who you're polling too.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What's the actual percentage of people that are black in this country?
13.
This says 12, but 12 to 13. Yeah. What is the estimation?
50.
It's 41%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's because if you live in white America, like a little town in Nebraska, like I did, you just assume most of the country's black. Yeah. It's so silly, man. So it's so silly. It's like, oh, we're gonna have race war. It was like, that's gonna take about 10 fucking minutes. That happens.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So, and quite honestly, I don't think too many people are gonna be on board with that, man. So there's a lot more white people that live in Atlanta than you think.
Well, I thought that too. Like, if you do live in a place like New York City, it's not necessarily that it's black. You're just like, well, he's some kind of something. Right.
Well, yeah, sure, yeah.
There's
well, New York's kind of special.
Exactly, but even still, it's not necessarily all black. It's like, well, he could be Puerto Rican, he could be from
he could be Brazilian.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna give you one more. All right, what percentage of the population owns a gun? Actually owns a gun.
That's a good question. I'm gonna guess about 18%.
It's 32.
Okay, that's higher than I thought.
What is the estimated?
What?
Percentage?
Oh, like 90?
It's 54.
Yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, well, if you ask people... If you ask people in fucking Germany, they think that we all have like 6 guns. Yeah.
No, you just get one like when you apply for a fishing license or whatever.
Right,
like,
yeah, they give you a free one,
Yeah.
So,
So pick your pick.
Go down to Walmart. Just spend more than $100, pick out a gun. So, yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just.
I don't know if we talked about this. There's actually really another interesting gun statistics out there. So there's more guns in the United States than there are Americans. All right, and people have talked about that all the time. And blah blah blah. But if you actually go and if you take 10 average Americans, okay, so 3 of them own guns on that street. 2 of them only own 1 gun.
Yes.
So and then the other guy usually owns like 8.
15.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you have just a few people here and there. So it's even smaller than that. They broke it down on a basis of 100. It was an interesting thing. That's where I found out that like there are very few people who just own like 1 AR. So if you're gonna own an AR, you usually have a couple. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Does it?
Well, because you're either going to make the decision where you're like, nah, I don't need this, or but once you cross that bridge, it's I would imagine the same thing. It's like you could ask a whole ton of people. It's like, did you ever purchase baseball cards? It's like, I did.
Yeah.
Right? And then you say, like, how many do you have? Like I kept 1.
Right, yeah.
I
kept
have
my favorite guy.
It's like, I have a Ryan Sandberg rookie card, or I have a fucking Andres Galarraga,
right.
And then you come across that 10th guy. It's like, you ever buy baseball cards? All the time.
Right,
How many do you have? So do you want me to start counting the long boxes? Because so I've got those. Then the 2 storage units. Then same thing. The same thing goes like if you ask me, it's like, you ever owned a comic book? It's like, yeah. It's like, never been to my brother's house? It's like, yeah, there's a significant part of his garage that is dedicated to this. And the same thing goes with guns, right? I
that makes sense.
That were like well, I always wanted to own a 6 Sauer. It's like, is that really that different from the other pistol you have? It's way different.
Oh yeah,
way
different, way
different. Way different.
Yeah. So we can go ask GunTube about that.
I don't wanna.
No,
you know,
I don't want to either. It's a silly place.
And I'm not gonna shit on it because like there are some dudes on there that look like they're having so much fun.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's the greater part of it. It's the part where you're. So let's talk stopping power. So you know, if you're trying to get an intruder but not blow holes through your house, right? We're gonna go through 5 different options today and come to a solid conclusion.
Set up like fucking ballistic skeletons.
That I watched that.
So many
I was gonna say you've watched it.
I've seen so many of those, man. Yeah.
And that.
It's just like, well, it's not the same as shooting at a watermelon anymore, and so let's find the ballistic skeleton. Oh, this one's got pig guts in it. Great, you know.
They give it a name.
Yeah,
you know, like this is Merlin. This is
he's
whatever.
running away with your teeth.
It's like you're not naming him Merlin. You're naming him Jamal.
Right.
It's like don't try. Don't try to
that's the
lie
part
to
of gun
me.
too that you got to be aware of, man. Where you start seeing Nazi symbols in the background. So.
Well, they're never distinct.
No. I know all the modifications, so I played enough Call of Duty to see those.
I get it. No, again, it's the like the hobbyist side of that. I absolutely can understand, right?
Yeah.
Just because it's not my thing, and there is a part of me that still says like, yeah, I kind of want something for the house just in case.
Just something, yeah.
But nothing, you know, too troublesome. It's like,
No.
what was interesting was that when we had to talk about it the other day, you kind of sold me on like a 22.
Oh, they're great. Yeah. It's a little Nintendo gun. They're so much fun to shoot.
Would you call it a Nintendo gun?
Yeah.
That's a good term.
Yeah. No, the rudder, whatever it is, 22, holds like 15 bullets in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Those are fun to shoot. So.
And those are the only ones that are basically have like inexpensive ammo still, yeah? Or are those...
I haven't bought ammo in a while. The last time I bought ammo, I kind of bought a bulk order of it. So, because it doesn't... I mean, it takes a long time for it to go to bad. I mean, it will go bad. Especially the smaller stuff, it'll go bad sooner. So, but...
It doesn't seem like something that should go bad, but it does, doesn't it?
Well, it's got copper in it, so yeah, it rusts out. Yeah.
You know, I saw the... I did a program about it. Just talking about basically like different advancements. I was glad. I'm like, finally, it's not fucking like house repair. It's it's like they're actually doing some science shit, and it got me studying the history of graphene. Do you know about it?
Like graphite?
Well, it's okay. So it is graphite.
Okay.
But what it is it's shaved so that it's exactly a molecule thick.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't know anything about that. What do you use that for?
Well, that's the thing. Everything.
Oh.
So there's a couple of cool things with it. Is that its tensile strength is incredible, right? It's basically its molecular structure. I can point this out to you here. It's a honeycomb. It's a hex map.
Oh, okay.
Right? Which makes the bonds on it incredibly strong, right? For something so thin. And you can layer it and do that other stuff. The other thing is that it is among the most conductive.
What, of electricity?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is why the cool thing about this, like, I was reading today about, like rare earth minerals, you know, China has all these. Graphene can replace all that. The only problem right now is when you're shaving something down to one molecule thin, it's hard to mass produce.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they're working on it.
Sure.
But I was like, this is actually cool. This is actually... I can't believe I learned something from, you know, doing these programs. Because the rest of the time, Patrick, I did the fucking midget show with the... I don't hate these people or anything. It's just like, what about your stupid lives is worth 16 seasons?
It's been that many seasons?
16 seasons.
Wow. They still don't have like shows with the Duggars on them and stuff like that.
I've never,
Okay.
that's never crossed my path.
All right.
I have gotten the Moonshiners several times,
Oh, those guys are still around.
but those guys at least they have.
They
a
gotta be
charm.
kind of fun to like
Yeah,
transcribe.
they have a charm to them in like the Hair Bear Bunch sort of.
They are very hair bear.
Yeah.
What is obviously gay.
But see, okay, that was another one of those things that came with that perception. It's like, why do so many people think that America is like 25% homosexual? Like,
Right. Well, it's it's way overrepresented on TV.
incredibly overrepresented.
Well, the same thing's true in Congress. So what's the most overrepresented group in Congress?
Blacks.
Liberal white men.
Oh, overrepresented? Oh,
Way
okay.
overrepresented.
Oh.
Way overrepresented. So they're not that common out there.
In the wild, like,
No.
have they like tagged a few and followed them around to see?
It's a catch and release program, yeah, but
Really?
you got to pull the thing out of their neck,
Why are liberal white men so disproportionately represented?
Because so conservative white men are overrepresented in the Republican Party, right? And so that
I'd
drives
imagine,
duh, but yeah. So a lot of those that drives them to the other side. If you're a liberal white man, the only party that you can run for is, the Democratic Party, right? Yeah. And so, and being a liberal white man, you're probably Harvard or Yale or Cambridge educated or something weird.
Columbia.
Like Columbia,
Yeah.
Definitely Ivy League or West Coast or whatever.
Yeah,
So you're probably a little bit more
yeah,
successful than your average bear, which makes you more likely to actually run for Congress. And so, same thing's true with gay men. So gay men are, if you actually take a look at like income distributions amongst the most overrepresented group and wealthy is gay single men. So just because for some reason our productivity stats are great.
Well, that's always been so. They have the data to back this up.
They do.
It's like, if gay people move into your neighborhood, you hit the jackpot because they actually take care of their shit.
They do take care of the house.
Like they've completely renovated neighborhoods that were.
They'll be out there patching the concrete, man. So,
yeah. Those fucking box heads.
I mean, those are all stereotypes too, but still at the same point,
it's true.
It's true. I mean, it bears through in the data, and so yeah, I can see why people would think that most of America is either gay or gun-toting, cowboy hat sporting.
But that's 1 out of 2, or 1 out of 4.
It's very very rare. It's very rare.
That's on the realm of paranoia.
It's definitely paranoia, man. I mean, the whole trans thing is nothing but paranoia. So,
Well, yeah. Speaking of overrepresented, yeah.
That was just your most ridiculous example of all of it. So, I mean, I've seen way overblown statistics that are, trying to measure children these days, and it's like, how difficult it is to actually poll kids. It's really fucking hard. Okay.
Why?
Because they lie a lot. It's almost impossible to get decent polling statistics out of kids, especially if it's a self-disclosed poll. If it's something that you don't have to answer honestly. So you always get those kids who just like fucking make smiley faces out of the bubble sheet and stuff. It's like, is this for a grade? No. Oh, okay. I mean, this is well documented how difficult it is to actually poll kids and teenagers especially. So they are not honest in their answers.
Well, it's funny that you say that because there was a study that they were doing, and they were shocked at the amount of results that they had. So much to the point where they made a table of quote unquote demographics of the malicious respondents.
There's a lot of those.
To which in this college, right, they were asking people to identify their gender, racial, ethnic identities, and disability if indicated.
You're going to have all kinds of great answers on there. They're going to be hilarious.
Well, so a lot of people, of course, there's a lot of Apache attack helicopters.
Yeah,
right?
Or flying dragons. Yeah.
Well, so there are some within that there's some within that subcategory that really made me laugh. So, of course, you know, within the attack helicopters, some people took that a little bit further. I was a fan of somebody who went so far as to say I'm a V-22 Osprey.
It's pretty specific.
He said this particular respondent said his racial ethnic identity was Crip.
Yeah.
And I believe he said his disability was being transgender. Now, this is the thing that I'm talking about.
You can't pull these people, man, and take anything serious from it, man.
This ended up being a significant. It fucked up the study because they got so many.
It'll fuck up the study so quickly.
That was college. That was college,
bro. Like, I'm gonna tell you, like, fucking survey research is so goddamn hard to do well, and so the worst thing you can do about it is pull kids, okay? And then, like, college students are even a little bit worse, and so just because
they have a little bit of knowledge.
Yeah, they're smart enough to be dangerous about some of these things.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you actually want to do a legitimate sample study on that, and so I got 1,000 kids in my school, and I managed to pull 100 of them. If I get 3 fucked up answers like that, it fucks up my entire thing. It's jacked. So, you know.
So, well, can you just scrub that as bad data, or do you count that as outliers, or what? What do you do?
You can count that as outliers, but it would represent a pattern of malicious intent that might be exhibited in your survey in other ways that people don't disclose in the demographic questions. So what that means is, like, so I could answer honestly, okay, I'm white, I'm male, I'm this, and then it would ask me how I feel about a whole bunch of shit, and at that point in time I can just fuck up the entire thing. Okay, so you can't tell that, okay? So, you know, I mean, you can't use, like, 3 verifiable facts, all right, which you shouldn't be able to do anyway in a randomized poll. Okay, so what you would have to do is you have to see, the reason why this one's so fucked is because if you get enough responses like that, so you know the demographics of your kids. Yeah. Okay, and you do the poll, and it's way the fuck off because you don't show no Apache helicopters. Amongst your class, all right, then you're losing all validity within the poll itself because, you know, people aren't taking it seriously. So, yeah, this is why when I see polling data anymore, man, I am so skeptical unless it's like, it's got to be pretty fucking rock solid. Or the other way to do it is to poll people who are older. If you poll old people, they're actually usually pretty honest because nobody asks them their opinion anymore. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's actually pretty true. Or if it's something that's like work related, you know. So, but if it's just a, you know, entrance poll into a college class, that's a terrible idea, man. So,
yeah. The respondent number 47 said his gender was, "I'm just here for the gift card."
Oh, see, yeah, no. If they're paying them to take the poll, yeah. That's the worst.
So that's why you're saying that these particularly troublesome numbers, saying that like 1 of every 5 students, children identify as transgender or something like that.
Yeah, that's probably like somebody asked grandma who's been sitting there rotting in front of Fox News all fucking day. And so obviously the entire school system is overrun by kids, you know, who should be wearing shorts but wears dresses instead.
Well,
so
to me it sounds like that would be the jackpot of all surveys to get, because if you're on the far left, you're like, wow, you know, this is working. If you're on the far right, it's alarmist.
It could be, but I mean, if it's patently false and observably untrue,
that's sort of the thing. Is you kind of have to trust your own eyes a little bit, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, because I'm sorry, Jeff, like 3 of my neighbors don't make a fucking $1 million a year.
We turn, I was like, well, it ain't me.
Well, it ain't me.
Right. No, it's no, you're right, and it's the same thing. Like even if you live in a small town, you're like, well, wait a second. It's like, I thought half of you were black.
Right. Yeah.
So that means that there are entire like cities. Like once you cross like the Mississippi, it goes completely.
Yeah, exactly. You drive down to Denver from Cheyenne and you expect nothing. You see a white guy and you're like, "What the fuck's going on here, man?" So, you know, I know it's completely. I mean, a lot of that is people don't travel. People don't actually read shit that's good for them, you know. Yeah. They don't listen to people who know things. So, you know, especially when those things are contrary to what they think. I mean, but these are just common problems, man. We've had these even way before COVID and stuff.
Oh,
It's
no,
just
no.
like nowadays,
this-
everybody's got it, like, you know, access to instantaneous opinions, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that, like, our generation and, you know, definitely my mom's generation have trouble processing that in some respects. I think the kids will actually be okay with it.
Well, okay, so there's what you're talking about here is you're talking about basically cultivating your sources, right?
Right.
It's the same thing as taking like a road trip, right?
Yep.
So if you go back to 1985, right? 1990, whatever, right? And you're like, maybe you have a tape player in your car. Maybe. In 1988, yeah, you got a tape player in your car. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. I got one in my car right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you can bring some tapes with you. You can make a mixtape, right?
Yep.
And that's some work. Or the other thing that you can do, if it was 88, is you bounce from station to station as you're traveling, right?
Yep.
I don't know if you remember doing that, but
I
you'd, like,
remember
search it
doing
out.
that, yeah.
Which was kind of fun.
Use the scan button, yeah.
Yes. And so that was kind of fun in a way, but ultimately what you're still doing is you're letting somebody else cultivate that for you. Right?
Sure.
Satellite radio took it a little bit step further where it's like,
They did.
all right, so I'm going to cultivate it, but I'm going to break down to these subcategories, right? And then there's the ultimate control of like, all right, I'm going to make my own this and have this go on through. I got you, right? And I think for a lot of people, I think the radio station is just sort of like the same way that it's like, I want somebody else to aggregate this and give me like sort of a source on this. Right?
Yeah.
And it's really tough like to do that when you take the traditional media and say, look, these guys have had to go this far direction or this far direction because otherwise they're not going to be watched.
Yeah, otherwise they get no business.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't see an easy way out of that problem though anymore.
No.
So, you know, the whole idea of having like a neutral ground kind of thing, it's like I don't think that can actually viably exist. So, you know, you gotta I don't know, like I still read Taibbi's shit and stuff, and he's basically come to the conclusion, it's like, hey, you gotta pick a few things that you care about. So, and then just ignore the rest of the shit. So, because, you know, it's going to take you some time to actually go through and figure out what the fuck is going on. You know, you're going to have to figure out who the good actors are and who the bad actors are in any kind of like information space out there. You should be able to find them pretty quickly because they'll start rhyming with each other pretty quickly. So, you know, if they're in one way or
that's a
another.
good point.
Yeah, I've had to drop a lot of the podcasts I live. They're all starting to rhyme in a certain way, and it's just like, this isn't good. So this isn't good for me, man. So, you know, you guys are banging on about the exact same things over and over again. You're making the same points that you were like 4 years ago.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, you guys aren't really like helping me grow. You know, I got to go find something new. And so it's like driving to a new place where there's a new fucking radio station, man. You got to, It's like, okay, who's on the radio around here? So,
and I gotta tell you, that actually was kind of fun. But you know, that's neither here nor there. But it's that's sort of the tricky thing about it is when you talk about that general idea of like, if you went out there and said like, hey, look, I have tons of money to spend, right? I have an endowment from Elon Musk himself, and he said like, make a truly neutral news network.
Ooh,
I don't care what the ratings are, right? We're just going to present it out there for a long enough time to see if people eventually adopt into it, right? And the only thing I could say, like, if you were going to do that, you would have to, like, whatever story came up, you could do so with the utmost honesty to present things from both sides. Basically, like, you're actually writing a good essay. Right? So much to your point, you say like, okay, well, this is the issue. This party is seeing it from this side. This party is seeing it from this side. This is where it is right now. Right?
yeah.
would you watch it?
No,
That's my question. Would
Yeah.
you watch it?
So what I would watch is like a news feed, okay, that was basically like, I don't need you to tell me like what the sides are. Just tell me what happened. That's it. Okay, that's all I need. All right. So, you know, and don't feel like you need to close the loop on this story. All right. It can be something that's ongoing. All right. Let it unfold the way that it's supposed to unfold.
Okay.
All right. So like the whole thing with Donald Trump yesterday. Okay. Oh my God. It is like it took like 8 fucking minutes before everybody had some kind of take on this motherfucker. Okay. So, you know, and I mean, that's where I started noticing that a lot of the guys that I listen to are rhyming in certain directions and others are rhyming in other directions. It was like, it happened today. You guys haven't even had a chance to fucking read this thing. Okay, let alone take it to a lawyer and see if it can actually hold up and shit. Okay, let alone, all right, actually understand, okay, so how long is this going to take? When are we looking at something coming from this? And how's this going to kind of unfold? No, you're telling me right up front, this is bullshit or this is like a death ticket for him. And it's like, no, I don't want the conclusion. Just tell me what's in the shit. Okay,
Right.
just please.
Right.
Okay, but nobody could fucking do that. So it took a whole nother day and a half before I finally got someone to take a look at it and say like, all right, these are the 3 charges. This is what's going on with these.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, these are 4 charges, you know. This is what's going on with these. This is the next step in this process. Check back this date. Okay? And I was like, thank you. Fine.
Somebody actually did that?
Yeah, somebody actually did that.
Who gets this credit?
So this is a guy that I listen to on Substack. So he'll post up things every now and then. His name is Mickey Kaus. So he's kind of old school, but he's also a Harvard trained lawyer. So
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, and it's like, thanks, appreciate that.
That was the thing. It was like, if you found that, then of course give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Please.
But, you know, it's also one of those things that it's just like, come on, man. I mean, everybody else, it's just instantaneously either diverges into like their whatever corner they've picked on this one, and then instantaneously starts trying to like, hey, come on over here, Pat. It's like, just tell me what's going on, man. I can see where you 2 guys are. It's fine. I'll pick one. Just tell me what the fuck's going on. All right. So, and very few people are willing to do that. So
what you're asking for essentially is you're sort of asking like almost to act as like an arbitrator, right? In some ways where it's like, well, what I want you to do is I want you guys to both present your case in earnest and I'll make the final decision.
I don't even want an arbitrator. I just want someone that actually.
No, I mean you.
I'm obviously the arbitrator.
That's
of my
what
own
I'm saying.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need you to tell me what to think.
But I was saying, like so if I went to my neutral news network, right?
Yeah.
And if I were putting it out there, like saying, like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to have both sides here, and they're both going to present their case,
Yeah.
right? And let you be the judge in between, or would that be something where? Because that's the thing is just present. I just asked you straightforward. Would you watch that? The answer was no. If I presented it as just straight down the middle,
I'd watch that.
you would watch that.
Well, I'd watch that, but I wouldn't watch anything that was like the left says this and the right says that. I don't want any of
But that's
this.
part of the facts, though.
No, it's not. The facts are what's in that fucking sheet and what happened. Okay, so that's it. All right, so that's what I want to know. I want to know what are they charging with him, what's going to happen next. All right, and that being happen next is when's the next court date. That's what I want to fucking know. All right, so I don't want to know what Tucker Carlson thinks about this. I don't want to know what fucking Rachel Maddow thinks about this. I don't care about their opinions. I know what their opinions are already. I can autofill them. Okay, so, you know, don't tell me that there's multiple takes to this. Let me do my own take.
Okay.
So that's all I want, man.
Well,
so
okay, but like reaction on that is part of the news story. So if I were going to like take my neutral news network and say like,
then that's a separate story. Okay?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's a separate story that says here's the reaction to this. I'm not going to read that. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, that's fine. But that's not; those 2 stories are not the same story.
like, so how do I
So-
present George Floyd without getting into the political hoopla that came around both sides.
That's another story after it. So
Okay.
that's Senator so and so said blah 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 about this, this, and this at this date and time at this location. There we go. If I don't want to listen to Senator so and so, I don't have to read that fucking story.
So you're going and fucking dragging it on me, just the facts, man.
Just the facts, man. And you don't need to write me like fucking 250 words on this shit or 1,000, whatever. I need 40 characters that tells me exactly what fucking happened.
The reason I'm saying this,
yeah, that's what I want.
Can we hook this up? Like, that's what I'm saying is like,
I doubt it.
Well, no, obviously I'm not going to break down the things, but do you think that honestly, like, if you're going to talk about, like, all right, we just have the app on this or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just like, look, here's how the facts come out, right? Like you said, 40.
I'll give you 100 words. That's fine. That's
100 words.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 100 words.
Yeah, that's an abstract. Give
me
an abstract.
Fucking A. Okay, that's your app. 100 words.
Yeah, give me an abstract.
That's what you call it.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't want anybody's take on it. I'm tired of takes. Okay? If I want somebody's take on something, I'm going to listen to a lecture that they put together. Okay? That's fine. All right? So if I want to know what Jordan Peterson thinks about the fucking demise of the West,
don't.
I don't, but
don't
if I do want to know that, all right, there's fucking 300 hours of that shit out there where he's giving me his take.
Of course.
Okay, I can go find that. I don't need you to bake that into my article.
Right.
About why Justin Trudeau is breaking up from his wife. Okay.
You read that, huh?
Why was Jordan Peterson even fucking mentioned in that article that I read that in?
Was he?
Yes, because he's Canadian, and it's like, what the fuck is this coming to, man?
Well, did they just grab it, like, because he's Canadian?
I think it was because he's a frequent critic of his. So
lots of people are.
I know, but still, it was such sloppy, stupid-ass writing.
That is, Jesus Christ, man! It's like, this shoehorn isn't big enough. Give me another one.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I can't do that shit anymore. That's why, like, the Ukraine thing was really hard for me for a long time until I found a few guys who just do that. They're like, this is what's going on today. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Here you go, man.
Okay.
It's like, God, thank you. All right. Don't be telling me that, oh, we're gonna break through this afternoon and it's gonna be over and we're gonna fucking hang Putin and blah blah blah. It's like, no, man. There's a lot more war left. I'll be back tomorrow. Okay.
Well, so, you get disappointed when you turn on the TV the next day and they're not fucking dragging his ass through the streets like Mussolini.
There's a lot less piano wire than there was in politics,
Bro, with the fucking, like, the labor dispute that was the uprising, went to bed at night and the problem was solved. They were gone.
France?
No. In when the Russia with the mercenaries, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. You expected to wake up to a new Russia,
Yeah.
Flying Nazi swastikas off the Kremlin. And it was like, oh, wait, they went to bed. And it was like, oh, so did I.
He was like, here's your money, leave.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're onto something. And let me take this perspective here, too. Okay. So you want the article to basically be like, mass shooter kills 12 in Buffalo.
Yep.
Use this kind of rifle.
Sure. Is his shooter been captured? Is he dead? So, these are the things that I want to know.
His Facebook page said this.
I guess. So.
Well, if it's something that points to a possible motive, would you want to know that?
I'd rather know that once it's actually been tacked down. So, to tell you the truth. I mean, yeah. So, like, the whole thing that's going on with the Memphis shooter, like, it's like, there's an ongoing case here. It will come out if it needs to come out. It's cool. Okay? I know you guys said that you're going to do this, but you can't because these guys filed a lawsuit against that. That's all I need to know about this. I don't need to know why this is happening because we don't know why it's happening. Okay? Wait until you know before you tell me. So, and so, yeah, if there's a mass shooting, tell me what you know. All right? Not what you think. I'm not interested in what you think.
It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
If there's money in it, we need to find a way to get it.
Man, I don't want to be in charge of a news network. Look, man, I don't even want to do half the work that I've got right now.
What happened to us, man? Why are we so lazy?
I finally got to the point in time in my life, man, where it's like I don't have to do what a boss tells me to do every single day on a certain given week.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not gloating over people who don't have that. All right, but I
No.
did a lot of work to get to this point. So did you. Okay, and so I think it's okay to enjoy it a little bit without getting like super lazy.
Now hold on. Like we said about movies before, okay, if you love National Treasure and you derive joy from it, I don't want to take that.
That's fine. Yes.
Right? Same thing. There are people that need a boss
Oh yes.
to keep them in line.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
kind of one of them. So I don't need the kind of bosses that I used to have, or the kind of jobs that I used to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not for
It's
everyone.
not for everybody.
And look, this was the thing that I had the discussion with the new people I work with, right? When I said that's it,
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, what's the problem here? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're telling me that there are people only putting in like 28 hours or like 30 hours.
Yeah.
Like, what's the problem? They're like, Chef, you just don't understand. And it's just that there are some people that, left to their own recognizance,
Oh yeah.
right? They're not good. They're like,
Yeah.
unless somebody's whipping my ass, right, to do things.
Yeah, there are yeah.
I hit inertia, and it's a chore.
Yeah. That does happen. I mean, some of that has to do with like just being a little bit rudderless in general though.
Absolutely.
So yeah. And I mean, I don't know. So I've gone through periods in my life that were like that. I've gone through periods in my life where I was exceptionally productive.
Yes.
And so, now it's kind of like, all right, found kind of a happy medium where I can kind of, my days pretty much go the way that I want them to go. And so when you get to that, you start thinking about new goals, like what's next. And I guess I'm just not there quite yet. My goal right now is just stasis. So.
Well, I mean, I guess that was the thing for me is what is my goal? And it was as simple as to optimize the way where I have the least management possible, but I still please management, so
Yeah.
they never have to bother me.
Yeah, you've done a good job on that one. Yeah.
So I've kept the few things here where I don't have to take orders.
Even if you have to meet with an engineer every now and then.
And it's funny. I could have like bitched my way out of it. Like I could have. I really could have. I could have been like, "Whoa, I can't get Zoom to work. I keep hitting the button, but it doesn't go."
You just freeze your face for a minute, like Cartman did.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done that, but I was like, "But I'm here."
Yeah. Okay. So
Right, there's
what do
no
you got?
need for me to fuck around when I'm like, all right, well, I'm up, I'm doing this,
Yeah.
right? So I might as well. But yeah, it's so that works for me. And I take care of that dog and all that other stuff. So I mean,
The dog is very well taken care of. So
perhaps
perhaps
she's pretty smug right there.
you guys going on a run later.
I'll take her to the park, but
Okay.
yeah, I ran last night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. Anything else on your mind? Yeah, you didn't do shit today, so I mean, like,
No, I really didn't.
you
man.
weren't very stimulated.
I wasn't stimulated. I'm sorry, man.
No. You weren't stimulated
Oh
by outside sources.
no,
You
I-
were in a place of peace.
I was in a place of peace, and I
Yeah.
hadn't even read that much news today, so that was good. I just read that little bit on Trump's thing.
Did you
So-
They're like, nah, I'm going back to bed. I don't need this.
No, there's like a forum that I go through that he posted, and I was just going through that today.
yeah.
Because most of the people on there, like, but that's me picking a radio station, man. So yeah, and so I don't know. I might have to go see if there's other takes on that, but I don't really care at the moment.
It's just that
It'll work itself out. So
It always does.
yeah, it always does.
It always does.
And there'll be more shit tomorrow. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the
What?
the testimony today. The 20 appearances by the then vice president.
Is that today?
Yeah, that's when it was.
Oh.
That was that.
Is that open
Again,
door or is that closed door?
he spoke to Tucker Carlson.
Oh, I can't watch that then.
Okay, just get it. Yeah, I know.
There's not a guy on TV that's more punchable.
No one.
Oh well, okay. That's probably a reach.
I can give you 5 without thinking about it too. More punchable than Tucker Carlson.
Oh, I don't know, man. He's pretty high up on my list. He's right up there with Chevy Chase.
So number 1, okay, Jeff Goldblum.
Is he even on TV?
He's been on my TV.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, me too.
That makes you fair game. Yeah. Keith Olbermann.
Yeah. Fortunately, he's been booted from TV, isn't he? Isn't he on YouTube now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's been on my TV.
He has been on the TV. Yeah, he's definitely punchable. So.
Oh, he's way up on that list.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he and Tucker are pretty close though.
Matt Lauer.
Matt, didn't he go to jail?
I don't know.
Man, you're picking some guys here that like it smells like they've already been spoken for, man.
Joy Behar.
Okay, yeah. Although I want to hit a woman.
No, but I mean that's the thing is like I wouldn't intervene if Mike Tyson was gonna. There you go.
The only person that I'd interview if Mike Tyson was about to hit would be like, you or my mom. He's gonna fucking kill me.
Yeah, I don't want to hit a woman either, but if it's happening, I'm like, I'm like Wonka at this one. No, don't stop. You know?
I don't know.
All right, that's enough.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson is pretty good. Yeah.
All right, I'll save us a 5 spot for Tucker, okay?
All right, man.
All right.
That's good confidence.
Okay.
All right, I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
I'm hitting the button.
Yeah.